Good afternoon, college football fans. Another episode of Walk It Off with Chappy, where today I'm going to give you the fourth installment of my preseason publication previews. And I saved this one for last because it was one of the later ones to come out, but I say this in a good light because Pix Six Previews is not only one of the most up-to-date publications, but also one of the most complete preseason publications. It's run by Brett Ciancia, a guy that I've had the privilege of kind of getting to know a little bit more. I've had him on the podcast a couple of times. We've DM'd back and forth, and I'm not saying this to brag in any light, but I bring this to attention because he's somebody that is a fan. He is I want to say a great person, just like you and I are. Not somebody who gets caught up in his accolades, not somebody who's overly braggy. And I think that's very refreshing in a media world today where sometimes the numbers and the stats and the honors can start to change people a little bit, and they start to develop more of a ego, and the content is more about themselves and their product than it is about the actual content that most people care about anyway. So that's one of the great things I can say about Brett and Pix Six Previews. But the proof's in the pudding. Stasson.com has done the analytics. They've measured all the preseason magazines like Phil Steele, Athlon, Lindy's, you name it. All the ones that are putting out publications that try and predict and preview with accuracy how the season will unfold. Brett at Pix Six Previews has been ranked number one since 2012. So in the last decade, his publication has been most accurate. In the last 5 years, he's been the most accurate. So it's not like it's something where it was front-loaded and he had a lot of good years, but lately he's been trailing off. He's been the most accurate for the last 10 years, the last 5 years. 2020, that crazy COVID season, Brett and Pix Six Previews was the most accurate preseason publication for that year as well. Last year, with the transfer portal blowing up and kind of still feeling and reeling the effects from the COVID season in 2020, Brett's Pix Six Previews publication was, again, number one, most accurate. Now, he does this pretty much himself. He does have a business partner that kind of, I think, from my understanding, handles the business part of it, or part of the business anyway. But in terms of the hustle, the grind, the information, the research, Brett does that pretty much on his own. And he doesn't just scour the web and kind of take the easier approach. He's on the phone. He's talking to head coaches, coordinators. He's talking to program insiders. He's listening to some of the podcasts in the prep season from the year before. He's going back and he's watching the games. So there are few people in this profession that work and hustle harder than Brett Ciancia does. And he does it because he wants to give you the most complete and up-to-date publication. And that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate Pix Six Previews, and one of the reasons why I waited until previewing this one last after the other magazines that I do purchase, because Brett's preview comes out in July. It's one of the last ones to come out, but that's because, especially in the last couple of years, with the college football landscape changing so fluidly, Brett wants to make sure that it is the most accurate, the most up-to-date. He wants to ensure that any changes in the spring, he's reflecting that in his prognostications. Now, if you take a look at it, which you should purchase, and it's a wise $27 if you want the digital format where you can pull it up on your phone or your device. In addition to, now he's got a print edition that has come out. Or if you just want the online version, it's $20, and it's money well spent, especially if you're somebody that plans on dropping some coin and making some Vegas bets or online wagering in terms of over-under win totals. Taking a look at Pix Six Previews, that's going to help you do your homework, because we know that Brett's done his homework. He's got some proprietary formulas that seem to work really well for him. One of them is his game grader, and this is cool because we know as college football fans that not all teams are alike, and two teams that might each win 9 games an Iowa team that wins 9 games is certainly going to be a more powerful team than a Texas San Antonio team that wins 9 games. And that's not to take anything away from the Roadrunners, but Brett's game grader formula will help show how strong, quote unquote, a team has been, even if maybe their record didn't match up, even if they didn't make a bowl. We know that there are sometimes teams that go 5-7, but those 5 wins were they really had to scratch and claw for them, and some of those 7 losses came in very close fashion against very strong teams. So getting this publication with all the trends and with the data that Brett uses, it's not only useful for the beginning of the season, but it's also a great resource to go back to when maybe you're looking in the prep season and it's February or it's March. As somebody who is also in the business of preseason and college football prognostication, Pix Six Previews is an outstanding resource to use. And it's also becoming one of the ones that are being used more and more by big personalities, people like Chris Felica from ESPN, The Bear, Josh Pate from the Late Kick Live show, and others as well. And Brett is also an All-American voter for the Football Writers Association of America. He's also a Heisman voter. So his voice and his knowledge is not only well respected within the college football community, but by some of the higher up personalities and some of the big wigs in the bigger companies. So again, great guy, great publication. Give it a look. You can go on his website, preseason.com, and if you want to take a sample of what a team preview looks like, he's got a couple up there from the last couple of seasons. Gauge for yourself and see if this is worth the money. But I can tell you honestly, and Chappy's not going to lie to you, it's worth the minimal dollars that you're going to spend when you look at the big product and the return on your investment. It's well worth it, ladies and gentlemen. So take a look at it. Pix Six Previews. I'm Chappy, and this is what I know.